Highlights of today's German Grand Prix, which has been run in perfect conditions. A breeze has been blowing and the celebrations of the opening of the revised track taking place before the race itself got underway. The fans gathered in their thousands to celebrate Michael Schumacher's 5th world title, and he was only too pleased to receive their praise and their applause. Some interested visitors, including Jean Alesi, on the grid. But Rubens Barrichello had problems before the race even begun, as his car was pushed away and he had to come out in the spare car.
Well, a very relaxed Schumacher brothers and Juan Pablo Montoya prior to the start of this afternoon 67-lap Grand Prix. When the lights went out, it was all Michael Schumacher, and that's how it stayed.
Yep, he made a great start. Ralph from the dirty side was not able to do much. Barrichello managed to squeeze out Raikkonen and Montoya. Irvine went on a slightly wide line, and Fredson was stranded, although he would rejoin for some laps later in the race. Meanwhile, Battle's Jenson Button was not very happy, and his car wasn't performing at all well. This was the battle, though, between Raikkonen and Montoya.
And a fantastic battle it was, this sector of the lap. Montoya and Raikkonen side by side through about 5 corners. Eventually Montoya got the job done, but Raikkonen, look, he's still not prepared to give up, and it's only now coming into the Sachs curve that the young Finn says, okay, I can only do so much, I'm only human after all. Well,
that kept the team happy. They loved to see their man racing hard, but Button didn't have much that he could do. Truly, in fact, this was truly dropping back behind that whole stream of cars that were trying to get past him. Patrick Head and Gerhard Berger were in close discussion, as Ralf Schumacher felt that he was held up by Jarno Trulli and wasn't happy about it.
And he was held up because Trulli had to serve out that drive-through penalty. There we see a sign we saw in Manicure, a Toyota blowing up, but no such sign of anything but perfect reliability from Ferrari. Of course, unless your name's Rubens Barrichello.
Yes, if your name's Rubens Barrichello, it is a slightly different story. Schumacher had a very straightforward pit stop and was straight back on his way. There were no problems for him. The two Saubers were busy putting on their own show, and Heidfeld moved up into 6th position.
Well, you can see how much brake dust coming out from David Coulthard's McLaren as he locks up, but then a big problem for Kimi Raikkonen, his left rear tyre, a delamination. Could have been caused by a puncture, could have been something more serious. He makes his way back to the team, but in doing so creates additional damage around that left rear corner.
Well, it was disappointment for him. It was disappointment for Jarno Trulli, the Italian, as well. Locked up, went off for his own mistake up at the Sachs curve, and that was all over and done with for the Renaults. And then Olivier Panis, who looked set to be a point scorer here today, also suffered a mechanical problem, pitched him into a spin and out of the race. Rubens came in, but the fuel flap did not open, and it took Ferrari a while to refuel him. That was how he lost 3rd position, and his podium finish therefore going the way of Juan Pablo Montoya. It looked like Montoya would finish 3rd. It was to prove better than that later, but Bernoldi was out of the race.
Yes, and for Tom Walkinshaw, further agony to add to that he's already suffering. A blow-up from that Cosworth V10 engine.
Heidfeld held on to 6th place despite the attentions of teammate Felipe Massa, but Massa wasn't able to lap at the same pace later on. And then we saw more problems for Fisichella, the engine failing on the Jordan, and Kimi Raikkonen eventually spinning out of what had been 11th position.
Yes, a lot of action in the latter parts of the race. There's the moment we saw Ralf Schumacher make that last dash into the pits to replenish the air bottle that actuates the air valves on the BMW engine.
But Michael Schumacher came through to take the win here in Germany, the 9th win of the season for him, win number 62 overall, and looking towards another new record of number of wins in one season. He's hoping for that come Hungary in a few weeks' time. So Montoya was able to celebrate a 2nd place, and 2nd place now in the Drivers' Championship. But Ralf Schumacher, a somewhat disappointed 3rd after being able to challenge his brother in those early stages.
But interesting to hear from Ross Brawn on the wall after the race, and from Michael, that this was